Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 53-man roster. Howie the GOAT. It's victory money time. Let's go.
From the city of brotherly love.
You say no all day, baby. You know that.
Let's hunt.
If we don't come together right now on this hollow ground.
Where are you going? I'm going to pick a fight.
Give up nothing.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is that why you are here?
Let the games begin.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. This is where they die.
Money is nice, championships are better.
That motherfucking ring is pretty. Welcome everybody back for another good episode and special episode of Victory Mondays. Why? Because we are, 10 days away from football?
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, 10 days away from Eagles football opening the season against those hated Dallas Cowboys. This is Victory Mondays. I'm the host. I'm the CEO. They call me Moss Money. I'm the player. And that is my GM, Ernie B. What's up, bro?
You know, I usually say just happy to be here, but this is the episode where I'm so happy to be here. I mean, this is all the hours, man. This is all the messages that I send to you guys. I mean, this is it, man. My guy, Howie Roseman, our guy, Howie Roseman, has been, on a tear. I think the entire league has been on a tear as far as trades go because this
a lot of
roster cut down. Yeah, this roster cut down feels like a trade deadline. I mean, this has been super active. Everybody around the league seems to be picking up the phone and making calls. We're getting to the nitty gritty. And like you said, man, I mean, 10 days, we're talking about roster moves 10 days before this team kicks off. And every team in the NFL is ready for, I guess, what is that? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 14 days out from that, 13 days out from that. I mean, we're here, man. Football's back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you already talked to him about Howie the GOAT, Howie the Great. Let's go through the high level of all the things that have happened since we last been on the show. First and foremost, a couple injury updates. Dickerson's supposed to play. I'm assuming he's going to play week 1. That's what the word is on the street. We'll see what that looks like. Those who are the big QB1 Tanner McKee fans suffered a fractured thumb, and that went to one of the trades for Sam Howell. Kyle McCord, and Thompson Robinson have both been waived and cut. So the QB room now looks like Jalen Hurts, Sam Howell, and Tanner McKee. That is the QB room as of right now. Let's keep it going. Today, 3 trades. First and foremost, a lot of people's favorite swing tackle. I said it on one show that I thought that it would be a mistake to let him go. They let him go. Somehow it kind of came back around, and it happened. Mr. Fred Johnson is back after a trade. What was it, a 7th-round pick?
7th-round pick for Johnson, and then they turned around and flipped Kennard for 6th in the draft after.
Yep.
So
Darian,
Recoup was 7th. Spent a 7th on Fred Johnson, which swing tackle has been in question. Kendall Lamb was the guy they signed in free agency. If I were to guess, I would probably guess he retires at the end of this cycle. Lamb looked like he didn't have a lot left in the tank. Johnson's a fan favorite, comes back in. They then, after acquiring Johnson, were able to trade Darian Kennard for a 2027 6th-round pick, where actually the Eagles are light in weight of draft picks. So they were able to move a guy like Kennard, who would be subject to waivers, most likely to be claimed. The Packers decided instead to move ahead and trade for that player.
Like you said, Darian Kennard exchanged for a 6th-round pick in a future draft. Also, waived was Kenyon Green. He was the guy in the first round pick who was acquired from Houston in the CJ trade earlier in the summer. So he has been cut. I always talk about Kyle McCord. Also, waived was Eli Ricks as well. EJ Jenkins and Montrell Johnson. Also cutting was Elijah Cooks, somewhat of a fan favorite. I think a lot of people like Cooks at first, and then
him and I believe who you're about to name now, Terrace Marshall, were
correct.
the camp favorite wide receivers, the big body X guys, and they both got the axe today.
Correct. They both got the axe today. Did I miss anything? I thought there was a running back who got waived too as well.
Derek Powell. I'll give you a quick rundown on what I got. This is per Jimmy Kemsky from Philly Voice, one of the reliable beat reporters. Lewis Seen was first, DTR was second, Kenyon Green, EJ Jenkins, Keelan Robinson, Nick Muse, Kyle McCord, Montrell Johnson, Eli Ricks, Derek Powell, Elijah Cooks, Terrace Marshall, and Maxon Hook is what I have up to this point. No surprises there. This was all in the books for the Eagles. I would say that so far, if there's any note that I could take on guys that are cut today as opposed to tomorrow before the 4 p.m. deadline, there's a theory out there that if you cut a vested veteran or an older player, like a guy in his third year maybe, they're easier to get through to your practice squad because everybody else is worried about getting their 53 together. So there's a method to the madness here. Although I don't think they're cutting ties with anybody that was sniffing the 53 so far.
Okay. So that's a big overview of what Howie's been doing. And I can't remember the last time we had 3 trades in a day. Maybe 3 trades maybe in a week or two, but in a day is pretty telling that I don't think Howie felt that this roster was good enough from what they seen from the preseason, and they needed to shore up some things, especially with us kind of limping into the beginning of the season with some injuries in some key positions. And I think that's why you saw that with some, especially the Fred Johnson. I was a Fred Johnson guy when we talked about, who was going to go or leave during that cycle in the beginning of our first, I think, full offseason with just me and you running it.
Yeah.
And talking about Mekhi Beckham, and I thought Fred Taylor came up, and he was a pretty big deal. But went to Jacksonville, but it wasn't like he was starting at Jacksonville. So, I think
that
big,
was.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that was one of the moves that I think we talked about. It just wasn't quite in the game plan for what they wanted to do moving forward. They were able to circle back and get him back. I mean, I think these are all just parody of the NFL kind of things. This is what happens. And I think it's just interesting to see how this roster is folding out for the Eagles ahead of tomorrow's 4 p.m. deadline. Also, like we touched on before the show, around the league, man. I mean, there is just so many trades going on left and right. I think there was almost a hesitancy to pick up the phone, when Howie Roseman calls, but I think those rumors can go out the window. Clearly, everybody is willing to trade with everyone. Former Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett was just dealt from the Browns to the Raiders. And that's just a slew of picks a slew of trades that continue to happen around the league. I think there's an influx of talent. We are looking at the the early effects of NIL in the NFL, where we're starting to see players who were highly touted in college, made good money, and now they're in the NFL, and maybe some things aren't working out. And it's starting to get really interesting.
It is. And I mean, football season is here, and I can't wait for it to jump off. And let's jump off right into the 53. I already started out with the beginning of it. So what we're going to do here, just so you guys know the format, we're going to put up the dog in the room, pretty much, the person who owns a room at their respective position, and then we're going to switch. And I think, Ernie B, on your side, right, back and forth with the dog of the room. So hopefully, guys, we put that together last minute. Never mind. No, we've been ready for this for a week. I'm just playing. All right, let's start with the easiest one. Well, one of the easiest ones is Mr. Jalen Hurts, the dog in the room in the quarterback position. We already kind of said it. The Eagles already put what they were going to put together. DTR got let go. McCord got let go. But McCord could come back. Can you hear me on that one?
No, I can't. When you pull the file up, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me on the file. Interesting. All right, let me see if I can figure that out as we go here. But like I was saying on the file, let me see if I go like this. So let me see. How about, can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Bet. And then what if I do that now?
Yeah, you're good. I can hear you now.
All right. There we go. All right. So like I was saying, Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, Sam Howell are our three quarterbacks. Any thoughts to Kyle McCord getting through waivers and coming back to the practice squad?
I think Howell I think the Howell trade explains where they are with Tanner McKee's thumb, which is on his throwing arm. He's not expected to miss 4 games. So they didn't put him on IR, but I do think there's a real possibility where Sam Howell is the dressed QB2 for maybe week 1 and week 2, which is the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs. So this was more of an insurance policy. McCord, he had a rough summer. I saw a couple reports about he had a strong summer. I can't attest to that. I think that he had a rough summer for a young rookie quarterback drafted in the 6th round. And I think the best bet for him is to revert back to the practice squad and, continue to develop as that QB4 for the Eagles, who eventually could come on and do something else. I will mention one thing. No one's talked about this yet, but there's a chance McCord is either waived and claimed by another team, but there's also a chance another team renegotiates some sort of deal with McCord. So he's no guarantee to get there. I do think they want to keep a 4th quarterback on the practice squad. So I would say there's a big slash between him and DTR. They would prefer McCord, the drafted player, obviously, but I think they would take whoever they can get to develop on the practice squad between those two.
Yeah, I think it's possible that he comes back on the practice squad. I'm not, they drafted him, so they must have liked something with him and that. And I think Sam is very doable.
Sam gives you the Kenny Pickett McKee feel of last year.
Correct. I was about to say that.
McKee's the clear 2. Howell is a more than competent QB3. I think this tells to more that the Eagles continue to value quarterback above all. And that with the new rule of the game day inactive QB3, they're going to try to use that to their advantage, but they're going to use it to their advantage of their best ability, which would be acquiring a veteran backup like Sam Howell. He is in the last year of his rookie deal, so there is no future for Sam Howell. This is just a 1-year rental.
Yeah, I agree. But he's capable. And we saw that in Washington.
He's got multiple starts, man. And the games that he's had his best career games, they were against the Eagles. So, I mean, bring the kid in. It's also a fun fact. The Howie Roseman binoculars meme?
Yep.
Him at the Pittsburgh versus UNC game. He has now officially acquired both those quarterbacks. He had Kenny Pickett last year, Sam Howell this year. So
I love how you just dropped them gems because I would have never poured that shit out of my ass.
He got them both.
Yeah, it's so insane.
No one said it on Twitter either, but he was at the Pittsburgh UNC game, and the cut through is this, and then it's Eagles Howie Roseman.
Hey, that could be a post later. We can make that a post.
I'm just saying.
That's so crazy
stuff, but yeah, facts are facts.
Facts are facts. All right. So, real. All right. So let's switch it to the other dog in the room, Mr. Madden himself, Saquon Barkley, obviously RB1 of the
Potentially
goddamn league.
NFL top 100 number one, because that's not out yet.
Yes.
Jalen
Shout out
got
to
number
Jalen.
19.
Jalen was
Yeah.
19, I think.
Yeah,
if I'm
19 to
not
that. So
Yeah, 19. So shout out to Jalen to breaking the top 20. Should have been top 10 more than likely after that run, but it is what it is. We already know. So looking at you probably can't hear me. That's probably why.
can't hear
I didn't
you.
know.
There you
Yeah,
go.
now so what I was saying was Saquon Barkley, the only person left on the roster is Keelan Robinson that I see that's off this three. I'm assuming you have
He got
him.
cut today too.
Say that he got cut today?
Yeah, Keelan Robinson.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that one in my list. Okay.
Yeah, so
All right,
he's
so
waived.
the running backs are good then.
Yeah, I mean, what's left is the potential of they can play roster tango with A.J. Dillon here. If things get cute, I decided not to go that route. I mentioned explaining this. I'm not going to explain it in depth, but basically, if an NFL player who is a vested veteran, which means they have 4 or more seasons of at least 6 games appeared on, I don't know, in-game, IR, PUP, whatever the fuck the actual rules are. Basically, this guy is not. You have players that are subject to waivers, which means they're being waived, and you have guys that are being released. A.J. Dillon would be released, therefore he is more than open to negotiating with another team. Let's say if another team wants to offer more money to be an RB2, blah, blah, blah. He does not have to sign to the practice squad. So I thought the complement of Shipley Dillon with fullback Van Sumeren and the lack of depth that we were going to have on the practice squad, I figured that locking this in on the initial 53 was the best bet. The counter argument or counter side from the Eagles is it will guarantee A.J. Dillon's base salary for the whole season, which I believe is somewhere around $1.5 million. That's not the end of the world for the team, and I think that they did it with Rashad Penny a few years ago. Who's to say that they wouldn't do it with A.J. Dillon now?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think Shipley is like almost Tanner McKee, kind of locked in here as RB2.
He is.
Yeah, A.J. Dillon will be there to spell as well in certain situations. And I think what we saw in A.J. Dillon in terms of his prowess in the preseason was his ability to catch the ball at the backfield, which a lot of people forget that he is able to do that and do that at a high level. So, I think what you have there is pretty set in stone. It looks good with the 3 in terms of Barkley, Shipley, Dillon, and then BVS as your kind of 4th fullback-esque.
4th fullback, special teamer.
Teamers. Yep.
Remember he did play linebacker, so he knows how to tackle better than your average fullback. He also played running back / receiver in high school, so he's got better hands as a fullback. That's a good note from you on A.J. Dillon. He's a much better pass catching back than people give him credit for. At his size, I guess he's expected to be just such a bruiser. But 2 of the things that A.J. Dillon surprised me the most with this summer are his hands at the point of catch and his ability to jump cut through traffic at his size are pretty unique.
Yeah, I think the one thing that people liked about him when they saw he's a fall forward guy, right? He's a fall forward guy. Get him a good amount of steam head. Not Derrick Henry and that tier, not even close, right? No. We're talking about a Hall of Famer, elite player. but in terms of just that bruiser style, bigger running back who always kind of falls for it. And I think Dylan is that type of guy. You don't want to tackle him one-on-one. That's a tough tackle.
No, and I think that if Barkley were to go down, God forbid, I think the two-headed combo is Shipley and Dylan will get you by.
Correct.
Hopefully it's a short-term period.
Yeah, I agree. So here's I think this is where things get kind of interesting.
This is where the argument starts.
Yeah, this is where the things get interesting. The dog in the room, future Hall of Famer Lane Johnson, who could retire as well in a year or two. If we
closer to 2 years, he's riding high off that Super Bowl. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I agree. But you never know. But let's look at what you have in terms of tackles, guards, O-line, and with the trades today, kind of how this thing shakes out. All right, so add myself. All right, so I think kind of the starting five.
Yeah, the top five
sense.
Would be known here.
Yeah. So Mailata, Dickerson, Juergens, Steen, Lane. We have.
Let's talk about what we're doing here. In my opinion, you carry 3 to 4 bench linemen a day on active rosters. So Matt Pryor, Fred Johnson, you have your top interior guy, and you have your top swing tackle right then and there. Drew Kendall, the 5th-round pick out of Boston College, he's not getting talked about enough, man. There's a lot of people that are giving him super high praise, and then there's a lot of people just like brushing him off. This kid's been consistent, man. And I think that, the idea was to not make Landon Dickerson your center too. And can we find a guy that can play all 3 interior offensive line positions? I think they got the guy. Brett Toth is a name who has been on and off the Eagles and the Eagles roster and practice squad over the years.
I just noticed that you don't have Toth on here.
Well, there's no reason to guarantee his salary. There's just no reason. I would rather not expose Cameron Williams to waivers than argue with Brett Toth over guaranteed money on a practice squad call-up. I think Brett Toth is a week 1 practice squad call-up for the Eagles. But I think they're going to play what I call, not what I call, it was actually deemed by Inside the Birds by Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher a few years ago, but it's called roster tango. And they were really the first guys that started using the term. And what it means is just you have a vested veteran who you can play some games with. And that's who Brett Toth is. So Brett Toth is a guy that I can envision on this 53 come week 4, week 5 after his practice squad call-ups are done. But they're going to take their chances on when these guys getting hurt or something happening on the roster before they guarantee him that roster spot. I chose to let go of Kyle McCord just because of when I chose, it was before it had been announced that he had been waived, but I just didn't see the point of rostering 4 QBs. And, this is kind of where I'm at with the offensive line. I think that there's no Kendall Lamb. I was with cutting him. I was going to roster Darian Kennard, so the fact that he was traded allowed me to move.
I was about to say Kennard got traded, right?
Yeah, Kennard was going to be on my roster. So the fact that he was traded moved me from 11 to 10. I'll be honest, I was going to have Kenyon Green on my initial IR. I thought that they were going to try to stash the player and continue to develop him. They did not. They opted to waive him.
Yep.
So, offensive line almost kind of got a little more cut and dry than it has been in years past.
Yeah, the only one was the Brett Toth one. I thought that, since he was here before, that he would be one of your veteran guys who can play a couple different positions. And I know they value that here in terms of Eagles. And I thought because of the Super Bowl window here, really a reason why Pryor's here, Fred Johnson's here.
My question to you is who the fuck else would offer Brett Toth, and who the fuck else even knows who Brett Toth is? You're talking about a guy that was claimed off waivers by the Cardinals among his initial stint with the Eagles. Then he went to try out with the Panthers, didn't like it. This is a guy who is he's Stoutland University alumni. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. in my opinion, I don't see him sniffing out anybody else and trying to be better. I mean, if he gets offered a job, obviously there are finances that can change anybody's mind. But nah, man. I mean, this guy's, Toth's a good football player. He's a multi-positional lineman. He's actually a 5-position lineman, which is really hard to find. But he's not.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Like he can play any. Like you have 3 guys who can. Well, you have 3 guys, right, who can play almost any plug and play, right?
Yeah.
You have Pryor, Toth.
Pryor is ideally your right guard if something happens. He can play left side if all comes to worst, but he can play both tackle positions, but you don't want him there. That's why you got Fred Johnson.
That's why Johnson's here. Right.
That's your swing tackle. So Matt Pryor is your interior offensive lineman. So the reason why you want to roster Brett Toth is the fact that you have Drew Kendall, who you're happy with.
Who's first? Is it Pryor? I think so.
Pryor's first man off the bench.
Yeah, Pryor's first man off the bench.
Pryor's first man off the bench. I mean, Pryor is a Stoughton University graduate. This dude is, spent some time outside of the team. But, I mean, he is – your question marks right now are Dickerson just being unproven.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Miles and Cameron in terms of
Hinton
that.
Outplayed Williams by far in camp and the preseason. My fear is exposing an athletic specimen like Cameron Williams. He's a potential for an in-season IR or a preseason IR. I opted for another Eagles draft pick. We'll get to that, but that was more of a numbers game than anything. I mean, ideally, Miles Hinton and Cameron Williams don't see a snap this year. Yeah,
no. They're. I mean, if anything, they're practice squad guys, right? Cameron.
Well, not really practice squad, but they're game day inactive. So you don't want to give anybody else the chance to sniff them, and you just want to keep them in the house and develop them without exposing them to waivers.
Yeah, because he was a late pick, right?
6th rounder. They're both a 5th and 6th, or both 6th rounders.
Yeah. I think in my opinion, I think Toth dresses.
Well, I think he does, but what I'm telling you is he's going to be a practice squad week 1 call-up. So
yeah, okay.
It'll look like this to protect themselves and their draft pedigree, but there ain't no fucking way Hinton and Williams are dressing for week 1. That's why they call up Toth.
Yeah, agreed.
And in that way, you have swing tackle covered. You have Matt Pryor for both guard positions, and then you have Drew Kendall / Brett Toth, whichever one. You don't want to throw the rookie to the wolves. You got a guy like Brett Toth who has had snaps there, not in game. I mean, they're all practice reps.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, but yeah, I would. For me, I would.
Well, the thing is, Nate, though, what I'm telling you, Brett Toth knows nothing else but the Philadelphia Eagles. So unless someone tells you, unless you get word that the Raiders are willing to offer him $1.5 million to be their swing guard, which is not going to happen, you don't have to worry about anything. Brett Toth he's an afterthought. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this guy is. You can go to Pro Football Reference and look at every single time he's been released and re-signed by the Eagles. I mean, I'm sure it can be counted on more than 4 hands.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I agree. You got 10 offensive linemen, so
yep,
it sounds about right.
They tend to keep 10 or 11 every single year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially now, early injury concerns.
They tend to go heavy. Stout likes his weight there.
Yep.
O-line, D-line, they're going to go heavy.
All right. Here we go. Dog in the room. We already saw that. I think you had talked about him, EJ, getting released earlier today.
That's the biggest surprise out of that room. It was EJ Jenkins. Nick Muse got cut as well. That leaves Goddard, Calcaterra.
And don't forget about, who was it, Harrison Bryant with an earlier trade, I think.
He was traded to the Texans as part he was swapped for John Mechie.
Yeah, right, and part of that
trade. The Eagles signed a little bit of extra tight end depth because the uncertainty around Goddard's contract. They were able to get Goddard sorted out almost identical to how they did Josh Sweat the year before. We talked about that on the show. And there were some guys that had to go. And I think a team that's trying to win now and win the Super Bowl is going to opt for a guy like Kylan Granson over a guy like E.J. Jenkins. E.J. Jenkins is a development wide receiver turned tight end out of Georgia Tech. He's like 6'6", 265. I mean, the dude's a beast. You know what I mean? But he doesn't know how to block. So you got to teach him how to block. Well, Granson is
just time out. I just want to do a timeout for everybody watching because I see people jumping on along. I mean, I just want to the player side of me, right? Because I'm probably a legit 6'4". In my playing days, probably let's go with a solid 285, right? Not that now, right?
5 tag, baby.
No, way over. We're taking the over on that weight on 285, 285.5. We're going over. But my playing weight was 285. And it's funny you say that because the bigger these MFers were on the offensive line, I swear to God, the softer they were.
Yeah.
It was so like crazy. And I'm looking up and I got cleats and screw ins on. So that means I'm like 6'5" and some change at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And these jokers are 6'6". Some of them 2 and like I'm talking looking like they've been with watching, Iron Paradise, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they are soft as baby's ass. And it was just crazy to me that you say that somebody 6'6", 265 can't block.
Yeah, around there. Yeah, no leverage.
Like,
no
what?
Leverage. No leverage.
Like, that's so silly that you're that big of a person and you can't stop another person in front of you. Like, you can't block. You know what I mean? Like, I just find that, to me, it's just crazy because we got to understand you have to have something wrong with you. And I'm sorry if you think I do or if you think I don't, because I'm pretty a nice guy. But you have to have something wrong with you if you want to put on just some thigh pads, a helmet, and some shoulder pads and go throw your body into somebody else and say, let's do it again and again, over and over. To this day, people talk about quarterback, people talk about cornerback, receiver. I don't care. Linemen hit every play. It's one of the hardest positions to me on the field because we hit every single play. There's not a play that goes by. If I don't get hit by somebody, something went wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you don't get hit in the D-line, there's slew of problems. There's
some problems here. And I'm not getting hit by small people. I'm getting hit by 300 and something pound people who want to take me out. Going for legs, grabbing for balls, trying to grab your face, man. Like it gets nasty in there. So you got to have a different mindset.
Wilkins, man. You got to worry about Christian Wilkins, man. You know, same type of ball as Wilkins, but damn, bro.
6'6", 265. Man, you better grow a set of balls.
Can't move people. Can't move people as well as you should.
It's wild to me. I'm sorry. I just had to go on that tangent.
Now, let me make sure 260. EJ has got to be.
Doesn't matter. He's 6'6". We already as a tight end, you're 6'6". You got to be at least 250 and some change.
Put it to you like this: he's listed at 250, but I'm right. You can look at the kid.
Yeah, man. I just find that funny that these cats, man, they can't. Like I just never got it because you know what? I wasn't. I talk shit when people talk shit to me, but I didn't initiate talking shit. I was never the. I never needed. You wasn't going to shake me off my mental game, and people did that to me a lot. Tried to talk to me to make up to get in my mental, and it just never worked. It just didn't happen. You know what I mean? Because I was just so focused. So, I'm trying to think. Was there a time where somebody kind of got me off and lost my cool? I think it was somebody was actually funny, and he was talking shit, but he was funny. I think he kind of made me laugh before the snap went off. Like, oh, I know you coming, because you do me, you our stunts and stuff and all that. Yeah. And he's like, I know you coming 97. I know you don't do it. Don't come this way. I want to go home today. You know what I mean? Like just dumb stuff like that. You know what I mean? But still no. Let's go back to your the screen. Forget to add myself. here with the tight ends here. So you have Goddard, Calcaterra, and Granson. And like you said, surprised that EJ was let go. Cameron Latu is still left. I don't know if I remember seeing a lot of him. In that.
Core special teamer. Latu is super aggressive on kickoff.
I mean, that's how you make teams, man.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Really big time third phase player. But these three guys were the most talented in camp, and a lot like Dylan. Oh, excuse me. They could have tried to get cute and move Granson through waivers because he's not subject to waivers, and they tried to renegotiate a deal with the practice squad. But I think they have the right move here. Just say fuck it, keep the deal on the 53, guarantee his salary for the year, and understand that you have three guys who can catch the football. And then also you have two reliable players if Goddard were to go down, which he has done in every single year he's been in the league.
Yeah, I don't know much about Keelan Granson. It looks like
drafted out of the Colts out of SMU.
Yeah, SMU
built more like a half, like an H-back kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's more of a 6 foot, 245 kind of guy.
Yeah.
Moves quick. You know, good chipper. You know what I mean? Not necessarily, the heaviest blocker, but he gets in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Harrison Bryant kind of I want to say flashed a little bit last year. Because I'm not it's funny.
Harrison Bryant.
Yeah, the tight end that we let go, Bryant.
Yeah, you talking about with the Raiders last year?
No, he was with us last year, wasn't he?
Calcaterra was with us. That's who it was. It was Calcaterra.
Was it Calcaterra? You might.
Harrison Bryant was in the Texans trade. He was just a free agent from the Browns and the Raiders.
Yeah, you're right. You're all right. My bad. I never thought that from a tight end position that we fell off a lot from Dallas. Now he showed up in the playoffs, and he always gets this label as being a top 5 tight end. And I think he flashes it, but because of his injury history, I don't trust it.
Give me 5 guys better than him. And
give you 5 tight ends better than Dallas.
You can say Kelsey, you can say Kittle, you can say Andrews, you can say Sam Laporta, you know what I mean? But I mean, talk about
at this point.
We'll go back to every single one of those players. Let's talk about availability. It's the most injured position as far as stars go in the league by far. You can't make the club if you're in the tub, but every top tight end seems to stay in the tub. So show me a healthy top tight end. I mean, Kelsey's a Hall of Famer, but he's not.
He's at the tail end.
By far, he's at the tail end. I mean,
he's at the tail end. So I don't.
Him and Zach Ertz are about the same phase, in my opinion.
I don't think
Mark Andrews.
I'm not sure if he fell off as much as that.
Well, Mark Andrews fell off just as substantially, if not more.
No, he had a injury as well. But to your point, but McBride.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Brock Bowers is the definition of tight end in the league. I mean, that's the guy moving forward.
Yeah, him and Laporta, I think.
Laporta didn't do shit last year though, so that falls into the typical.
But he's proven it. So
he did 1 year of production. I mean, tight end is the lowest. Like, there's a reason why guys continue to be drafted so highly in the NFL at tight end. Is because the tight end production to long term, the draft value that you give to long term production is not adding up at all. And that's particularly why the Eagles decided to make it work with Goddard as opposed to trying to spend a first round pick, which would have 5th-year control on a tight end like Colston Loveland. I get it, he wasn't close, but they could have traded up or whatever it may be. Those guys tend to not work out. So from an analytics standpoint and from the way the Eagles view it, I mean, they'd rather take dart throws at tight end and wait till they get that gem. You know what I mean? As opposed to
Dallas was a 2nd-round pick, right?
Yeah, Goddard was a trade out with Dallas in the 2018 draft that started
right because they wanted him, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys did, and then we traded back and sniped him. But I mean, it's probably the best Eagles draft class to date. It was Goddard, Maddox, Josh Sweat, Matt Pryor, and Jordan Mailata. So, they hit a pretty big.
It's just to my day. I don't know what Goddard's ceiling is.
Well, you're talking about the guy that led the team in receiving in both the past Super Bowl runs. I'm not worried about the season. When it matters, it matters. So the same argument of, Jalen turns it on when the bright lights are on, so does 88. And when you talk about blocking and where he is, he's the only blocking tight. He is an extension of the offensive line as well as he blocks. I'm almost sick of the Goddard spite this cycle just because he opted to look for some more money. I mean, the same people that are, Jock and Josh Sweat strap, they weren't talking about him like last cycle. They didn't know who the fuck Josh Sweat was. Like, I don't want to hear it. You're talking about a developmental 4th round pick who, back in the day, he was the number 1 overall high school player, but majority of people don't follow football that thoroughly. So I just think Goddard deserves his respect, man. I mean, that we don't win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl in 2022 without 88. And if you go look at the games where he doesn't play, the game plan changes.
I agree. The game plan does change, but all I'm saying is I understand his importance to us as the Philadelphia Eagles, but looking at it from your view, NFL view, GM view, where he lies in the pecking order and the tight end, I think he's overrated.
I think you're crazy, man. I think this is the definition of a guy that you get a ring for because you have him here. And if I was in the wrong, speaking of what I'm saying, then he wouldn't be a Philadelphia Eagle, and he is. So they made it work for good reason.
Yeah. I think I'm just saying. I think you can find
his
5.
Contract, Nate, is basically fully guaranteed this year. So whether he steps on the field or not, they feel that they need his presence.
He's in my opinion, he's probably going to ball out this year because it's the contract.
It's not going to happen. I mean, I was saving this for another show, but I mean, come on, dude. It's going to be 4 games of trying to throw the fucking football. They're going to be beat. They're going to be blown out by the fucking Bucs week 4, and then it's going to be the Saquon show. Like, this team has an identity. Let's not try to change the identity. They just won the Super Bowl. So, I know what they're going to do. And like I argued with you guys last year, they're going to try to throw the football way more than they should. And it's going to be about week 4 when they play the Buccaneers, who they can't ever fucking beat. They're going to get embarrassed. And then all of a sudden it's going to be the Saquon show. And Jalen Hurts is only throwing 14 to 21 times a game. And you know what I mean? It just
give me your 5, Irvin. Give me your 5. Give me your top 5.
Dallas
I want to hear it.
Tight end, dude. I mean, he does everything. Like, the guy is a do-it-all tight end.
Man, give me your top 5, man.
I'm not accepting Dallas Goedert slander. And what? Hey.
I'm just looking at the stats and the facts.
Because we're a tight end, Irvin has earned me a bathroom break. I appreciate
the stats and the facts. Don't give me top 5 vibes. That's all I'm saying. Those give me top 5 vibes. Irvin, I need top 5 vibes from you and tell me who is your top 5. And we better not have anybody up there that I can tear down. Because if you do, it's going to be a problem. And I love Dallas Goedert. I'm not trying to hate on the man. I'm just looking at the facts and the numbers. And the facts are that this man's career tight end high is 5 touchdowns in 2019. That was 6 years ago. His career high in yards was 830 yards. That was 4 years ago. You didn't even know he was in the league since 2018. He's played all 16 games once in his career. Rookie year.
Did my boy Irvin make his list?
I'm just waiting, bro. I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just
thought Irvin, I heard you yelling, man. I thought Irvin came in off top.
Yeah, I thought Irvin was
coming
correct. But you know what I mean? But not today, maybe. Maybe not today. All right, we'll come back to you, dog. We'll come back to you. It's all good. Here's a Ernie B. Here's another Goldie. You know what I mean? Here's another goatee for you. There he is. There he is. My guy, Nolan Smith. Dog in the room. I will give respect where respect's due. Without Nolan Smith, we don't win a Super Bowl. Just like
I have a question.
Goddard. Yes, sir.
What order are you doing this in, real quick?
Just going down the list, man. We went quarterback, running back. Oh shit, I forgot. Oh wow, you are right.
I didn't know if you. No. Hold on. I didn't know if you were saving.
Hey, you're right. You're right.
I know. I just.
You're right.
You know.
Oh man. Ooh, where is that one? I don't have that one. All right. Let me do it real quick. Let's look at let's look at Irvin's, right? And then I'll get it.
Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Jake Ferguson,
Kelce.
George
Kittle.
And pick the last one. Goddard and
It's McBride. That's McBride. Get the fuck out of here. It's McBride.
Laporta. Dude, you're forgetting Brock.
Shit, that's even that's 3. He's not top 5. He's not. He's not top 5.
Jake Ferguson on that list is crazy, but okay.
He's not top 5, man. That's all I'm saying. Damn, how did I forget one of the greatest? I think do you think AJ Brown is going to go down as the greatest? Well, I mean, we're talking about
better than Theo.
Yeah, Will Montgomery. No, well, I'm thinking ever from a receiver standpoint. But you know,
you got a guy.
I mean, we're talking about Will Montgomery, so you know.
Now I'm worried about the dude that played with a broken leg in the Super Bowl. That's and still got his.
Dog, it was 1 year. It was 1 year. Come on, man. Irvin, good try though. I appreciate you coming on and giving us a comment. Good try, bro. Hopefully you keep following us on here on Victory Mondays, man. For all those coming in and out, man, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, hit the like.
Shout out Irvin, bro. I'm shouting out Irvin, dog. That's Irvin. Irvin's got the right. He's in the right mind state. Just
I ain't gonna hold you. I love that name. Irvin is a great name. Solid name too. By
the way, bedroom. You didn't even know. Irvin James. I just said cousin of Edgerrin. You didn't even know. That could be Edgerrin James. Younger brother. You don't know, man. Irvin's talking his piece.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, let me bring up. I know it's a good call. He's like, "What are we going to? Did we forget something?" And I think Ernie B called me out. We did forget something. And it's the dynamic
James, Dwayne Wade here, man.
AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, man. Onto this list of receivers, and I think that you got this one right. Let's bring it up on the other screen once. So we have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson. Is it Mechie or Mitchie?
Mechie.
Okay, Mechie.
Yep.
So you got the 4. And then you got the God himself, Darius Cooper.
Highlighted in bright turquoise blue to signify he's the only UDFA on the roster.
Yes. And I would agree with what you have here in terms of who's going to make the team from the roster. I think he's obviously been the buzz. Hate the number. 41 is just a shitty number.
It'll get changed.
Yeah,
86,
I hope so.
86 and 87 were open up today. So, I mean, we can get some number of games, but it'll be switched.
So here's the question, though, because I think that they tried to make some moves to bolster this special teams. All the other guys on the roster still are names that people probably don't really know or really care about. But the 2 I think that are important that they might know. One was Adoree Williams, from the trade with Atlanta, right?
No, just a free agent signing. But yeah, the Sirianni decided to go out of his way to mention him at the owners' meetings, free agent addition Adoree Williams, who has been almost hyped up by the Eagles more than he has his play on the field. But yeah, Anaya Smith and Adoree Williams were my were my 2 guys here that I just couldn't see them leave. I couldn't see Darius Cooper put on another jersey at the cost of those guys.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think when you find a guy out of a small school that just shows it day in and day out, and that comes with play on the field as well as character. This is a QB turned receiver who put up good numbers in college. And the things I've heard, Nate, I don't know what you've heard about this kid, but I mean, I just hear about spectacular catches. And then when it goes,
he's a true gem. He's a true gem.
But you know, I don't want it to be misspoken. Like we're saying this is the next AJ Brown. When you're an undrafted free agent, your back is against the wall. And this kid simply did what he was asked to do on offense, on special teams. And when the ball came his way, he caught it. And when he didn't, he was asking QB1, Jalen Hurts, or QB2, Tanner McKee, when he was working with what he did wrong. And I think that is what separates him from the pack. I mean, do you feel like I'm on the right path there with this kid? Like, you know, when you're this far against the grain, you have to do the little things perfect to even be noticed when you're doing something special. So I just think, I mean, for everything I've heard on this kid is just the personality is phenomenal. He's always wants to get better. He's constantly talking to the quarterbacks, the coaches about, you know, what he's doing and how it can get better. But then when he makes the highlight play, it's not just a highlight play. It's almost like, was that 41 or was that 11 that made the catch? And I know a lot of people have said it. You know, he's got this baby AJ, you know, thing that's going about him, which the build is similar, whatever. He ain't AJ Brown. But I mean, if you can bring this kid in and develop him in the program, I've said this before, the Eagles are built more like a college football team in the modern NIL era than any other team the NFL is. And they use it to their advantage. If you notice, they did not make a lot of roster cuts nor waves during the entire training camp process. They made trades, but those trades were for definitive issues that you saw in the roster as a whole. And out of all that movement, there was one little speckle that continued to shine, and that was Darius Cooper, man. I mean, this kid just this is my Reed Blankenship of this cycle. I think this is a kid that's going to stick. I think that with Dotson leaving after this year, Mechie will leave after this year.
Agreed. Yeah.
Their rosters are, I mean, this is the kid that can be a cost-effective wide receiver 3 for the future.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I was thinking the same thing, and I'm glad you went that way, because that's where I was thinking, where, you know, Cooper is going to be your future wide receiver 3, in my opinion, right? Jahan Dotson, Mechie, unless one of those two do something really special.
They don't have the finances to make it work. That's why Cooper makes so much sense, because if Dotson or Mechie wanted money to end out, I mean, let's cycle back, guys. Let's remember the Dallas Goedert conversation we were just talking about. The Eagles were arguing with Dallas Goedert over a couple $1 million because he wanted $12 million, $10 million. I mean, that $10 million, if Cooper's your wide receiver 3, all of a sudden you can pivot somewhere else. And let's not forget, Jalen Carter's going to get God knows what amount next year. And I had mentioned to Nate the number could start with a 4. And I'm not going to pigeonhole that, but the longer Micah Parsons delays his contract, the worse it is for the Eagles and Jalen Carter next season. I get their different positions, but Jalen Carter is a groundbreaker when it comes to contracts. I mean, he's the type of player that they break the bank for on APY. Now, however it's set up contractually, whatever, but guys like Cooper, to get back to what we were talking about, are who you need in order to build a championship roster. Like the Chiefs have done this for years, man. And they constantly get production out of 6th-round picks, 7th-round picks, UDFAs. You know, this is an example of the Eagles getting that. And I think Cooper's here to stay.
No, I completely agree with everything you said. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm all on board for that. I think this is for the Super Bowl run. Cooper's for the future, and having him develop behind all 4 vets, when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's only going to help him even more. You already have, I believe you had Johnny Wilson on the IR for season ending.
He's on season ending IR, so he's with knee and ankle surgery.
Yeah. And come next cycle next year, whatever he looks like, he's probably on the chopping block. But let's switch gears again to Irving, because you see you're commenting. I'm not going to let you astray, bro. Kelsey's in his own tier because he's a walking Hall of Famer.
No, I
don't know what Mark Andrews is total. I'm not sure if he's a Hall of Famer, but possibly. Obviously, Bowers, just like to Ernie B's earlier comment about the modern day tight end is Bowers. TJ, who's that? Hawkinson. TJ's volume guy, right? Laporta.
You could say the same thing about Hawkinson. You could say about Goddard. You can't help the club if you're in the tub.
Yeah, but Dallas is not before Laporta. Dallas is at the tail end of all these guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm a Dallas Goddard fan, but I'm calling a spade a spade. He's nowhere close. Well, let me take that back. He's not breaking the seal of these guys that you have on there. All these guys, I'm taking all these guys over Dallas Goddard, period. This is him. That's just him. Why? Because they play and the production proves it. Again, Dallas Goddard has not played a full season since his rookie year, period. And
my tiny little bit of argument on that is maybe that aggressiveness that he plays with is what they want.
Man, they all play aggressive. None of them.
No, they
yeah,
don't.
Who's finesse on this list? Who's finesse?
No. I'm talking about. I thought you were talking about in the league.
And not even that.
And who plays finesse?
Hawkinson.
First of all, Mark Andrews is a shell of himself. Travis Kelce, shell of himself.
Nah.
Brock Bowers is by far the best tight end in football. It's not even fucking close.
Let's not forget. You forgot Kittle on here.
Tub. And Jake Ferguson, you're in Brian Schottenheimer's offense. Have fun with it. Sam Laporta, you did, fantastic your rookie season. You didn't do jack shit year two. I mean, it's the same could be said for tight end.
Kittle's missing too. So
he doesn't play. So I mean, that's
we digress.
Gets paid to not play.
Yeah, we digress. But I like your receiver roster, and I completely agree with it. Again, the question is, from a special team standpoint, does Anaya
Smith is the one,
or Avery Williams?
Well, Anaya Smith and Avery Williams are the ones. I mean, who is the designated returner in my world? Will Shipley and AJ Dillon are kick returners, or Will Shipley and Darius Cooper, and then ideally punt returners Jahan Dotson. He did it at Penn State. He had talked about it early in camp as something that he wanted to prove to the coaching staff. I think that could slip through for Dotson.
Yeah, I think so. As well. Facts. AJ Smitty, Cooper, Lil Michi. Call him Lil Michi.
Lil bro. Mechie. We talked about, bro. Mechie's a little dog, bro. He fits the way this coaching staff teaches football.
Yeah, I think, is he a restricted free agent next year?
No, he's him. Funny enough, not to dive into this, but almost every player they've acquired is on an expiring contract. Outside of Bennett, I think Bennett might have another year left on his deal.
Oh, I thought Mitchie had another year.
No, Mitchie's at the end of the year. There's some scrutiny over his cancer year, but apparently that unfortunately was used as a contractual season.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's switch to the best side and the most exciting side of football, and that's the defensive side. No bias at all.
Not at all.
And let's run it back to this guy, Nolan Smith.
I like how I made you not only talk about, but hype up Nolan Smith on two cut-throughs. Like, I was able to get you to hype him up once, and you really did well, dude. I was surprised. But, like, you have to do it again now. So I got to hear it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I give respect where respect's due. And people who've watched the show and know me talk over time, I am not a Nolan Smith fan ever since we drafted him. But to that extent, he showed up in the playoffs. He broke Eagles records in the playoffs. And then he played in the Super Bowl with a torn tricep. Nothing but respect for the dude. But he's not the best pass rusher on the team. I still will stand by that. But he is the dog in the room no pun intended, being from Georgia Bulldogs. But he is the dog in the room because I think they're looking at him as being the next great Eagle pass rusher that fits what the Eagles are and might not have the production on the field. There's been a few of those guys that have come. I don't want to put any slander on my guy BG's double nickels name, but he never was really a double-digit sack guy, but he was an Eagle, right? Like he was an Eagle. You know, I'm trying to think of somebody else who was like that from the pass rusher side. I can't say Trent Cole because Trent Cole was an all-time great. He was a great pass rusher. Hugh Douglas was an all-time pass rusher.
But I would say no. I would say the thing with Cole was though is
it took him time to develop into that. Though.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is though Cole wasn't quite respected to where he is now until towards the end, which is similar to BG, but he didn't go through the same mountain climb that BG did. But I would say Cole had a significant rise to where he was. He didn't just come out the gate with 10 sacks a year. I mean, that dude worked to get to where he was.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would say BG is the same. Nolan's in that trajectory. The one thing that I'm going to start this conversation off of, and we're running a little long, but I just want to make sure we get all the information that we can out there.
Yep.
From what I understand, edge is their number one position of concern right now.
Let's bring it up.
So now, the way I have it, which is I think the way that most people would, is Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Josh Uche, Azeez Ojulari, and Patrick Johnson. All five of which are vested veterans. If you scroll down to the bottom, I have Antoine Powell-Ryland as an initial IR. What that would mean is that he would miss the first 4 weeks of the season in order to preserve a draft pick. And then by that point, hey, maybe you have an injury or somebody's bad enough to get cut and you can make room for him on the roster. He flashed in the final game of the preseason. So like I said, that was my initial IR. I'll be honest with you guys. Kenyon Green was one of those dudes that I thought about. He got cut. Keely Ringo was another name that I thought about in order to make room, dealing with that hamstring injury. He's got a quad or hamstring he's dealing with that I'm not so sure Nate is not going to land him on IR to start the season, which, again, you have two players that are eligible for IR, so you can kind of dance with two guys. Right now I'm going to go with Powell Ryland. But, all right, so put it to you like this. So you have Smith and you have Hunt. I think we would both agree there is not a premier pass rusher on the team.
Correct.
So Smith being your best player, Hunt has the highest upside. Ojulari looks a little bit stuck in the mud with the way he moves. Yep. To be 25 years old, I think he's suffered from a lot of injuries that have gotten where he is. Josh Uche has stood out the most in camp. He's been the most prominent veteran. Patrick Johnson is an absolute training camp warrior, preseason warrior, special teams ace. Yep. That I think really fills in kind of that Oren Burks role. Him and Trot Jr. can kind of take over that, or maybe Smile Mondon. But a name I've been hearing, I just want to toss a name out, is Arnold Ebiketie from the Atlanta Falcons. And
I think I saw something about that today.
Ebiketie is a Temple kid, transferred to Penn State, has had good production in the NFL. He's the second-round pick from the Falcons. I believe it was Jimmy Kempski projected as a, for fun trade was Ebiketie to the Birds for Ojulari, a third-round pick. Ideally, I'd like that to be Ojulari and a fourth-round pick just to make everything sound sweet. But everything I hear from today and going into the show was that the Eagles are on the edge rusher market and that they are not necessarily looking for a Micah Parsons, but just someone to aid the depth, similar to how they did Fred Johnson and Sam Howell.
Just to add to that, I did a interview with Michael Parsons' dad, and just for all those Eagles fans who love the Dream Team fantasy football thing, Michael Parsons does not want to be an Eagle. I'm telling you that from the horse's mouth. If you don't believe me, Go to Money Pot. Go to YouTube.
Two things.
He's not going to be an Eagle.
Yeah, two things. One, obviously, my connection to you has made that assumption a lot easier since we know each other. But I think the other one is the fact that Dallas has labeled Micah as their Herschel Walker, and that, it would take that kind of deal to make something happen. And the Eagles would never do a deal like that. Like that would never happen in their realm. There would never be a 10-team 4-pick or whatever the fuck it was for Herschel Walker to get a deal done.
Yep.
But the name that I continue to get is Arnold Ebiketie. And I think it's with good reason, just because the Falcons picked Jalen Walker and James Pierce in the first round. They also signed Leonard Floyd, so he's kind of the fourth guy looking in. Well, the guy that's behind him is Braylon Trice, who's a second-round pick from last year out of Washington. So the vibe that I have is that they could do something on a player like that, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. I think that still I would be comfortable entering the season with Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Josh Uche, Azeez Ojulari, and Patrick Johnson. I'm not the happiest with it, because one thing that we're going to talk about in a second is ideally we need our pass rush to compensate for downplaying the secondary, right, Nate? Like if all else fails, I can improve my pass rush to aid my secondary. And, I'm in the feeling that they're hesitant. In my opinion, I'm going to say it this. I'm going to put it as clear cut as it can be. The Philadelphia Eagles are more concerned about edge rusher than they are about cornerback. And the reason why I say this is because they already made a trade for a corner and nobody gave him time to do anything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Jacorian Bennett for Thomas Booker has been the most heavily weighted trade going out that Howie has made this season. Darian Kennard for a 6th, whatever. Fred Johnson for a 7th, whatever. Sam Howell for a bullshit pick swap, whatever. C.J. Gardner-Johnson for Kenneth Grant pick swap, whatever. Harrison Bryant to re-swap those picks for John Mechie, whatever. The most they gave up was their backup nose tackle for an outside corner. Now, that outside corner happened to be the best corner on the worst secondary in the NFL last season. And now Jacorian Bennett is on this football team. He's think hurt a lot too, right? Of it. What's that?
He's hurt, right?
No, he's not hurt. He's just small. And I think that's why. I mean, he's not small. He's 5'11" and like 200, 205, something like that, 195. But he's just not built like a lot of the longer, more
up-to-date corners.
You call him up-to-date. I would say he's built more like a nickel, but he plays outside kind of thing. I just think the biggest thing is when the talks about Micah and Trey Hendrickson were happening, I hear you. It's fine. It ain't going to happen. It's done.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Edge rusher is still there. Like where there's smoke, there's fire, people. They are looking at edge rusher. I can guarantee, whether it happens or not, I'm not going to stamp my name on the Eagles are going to trade a 4th-round pick for Arnold Ebiketie. But they are looking at Ebiketie. And if Ebiketie happens, cool. I look like I know what I'm talking about. But if it doesn't, it's fine. They're not going to trade for a corner. If they went out and traded for a top corner, it does not make sense with what I've said from the beginning is watch what they do, not what they say. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
And your trade for Jacorian Bennett said that was your move for a corner. And every other move they've made this offseason has said that they are supplementing the roster via trades. They're supplementing the roster. Adoree Jackson is going to start week 1, man. I mean, Denzel Ward, the Denzel Ward stuff I love because, they're going to trade for Denzel Ward that did joint practices with him. Why? He makes $30.4 million next year. Where do you have $30.4 million to hand to an outside corner? You're going to tell Quinyon he's not number 1 anymore? You can't tell Quinyon that. So you can't acquire a player with a higher pedigree than Quinyon Mitchell because them corners, I mean, Nate, you can say it. They're a little finicky. You can't play with their mental like that.
I've been saying it since day one.
You can't play with their mental like that. Quinyon needs to be told he's number one, and he is number one and then some. You're number two, folks. I hate to tell you, he's on the team. His name's Cooper DeJean. But if he's playing corner, we got problems. If he's playing outside corner, we have problems.
Yeah, I agree. I
digress.
I agree with that. No, I think it was a good monologue because you hit on a lot of good topics and a lot of good things and a lot of good holes that people are not seeing with this team. The list again here, because like you said, we're getting a little bit long in the tooth. But when we look at the pass rushers, which I think is vitally important for the back end, because you can only guard or hold somebody in coverage for so long. Nolan Smith, Jalen Hurts, Josh Uche, Adoree, Patrick Johnson. That list, I agree with that, but that is a shaky list. That is a real shaky list. You got Nolan Smith, who's only had 6.5 sacks in a full season, not counting playoffs, but in the regular season. Jalen Hurts had a great end of his run in the playoffs, still got a lot to prove that he can be an everyday starter. Uche, Ojulari, veterans can play, but haven't really lived up to the hype. Uche has done well against backups. We hear the sacks and the pressures. They're against backups. They're not against starters. Ojulari it sounded good in the beginning, but it hasn't translated really into the field the way we thought it was. He got a sack, I think, in the Cleveland game, but it was against backups. These are not starters. And Patrick Johnson is a name that Eagle fans should be familiar with. Been around for a while, special teams ace, and that's what I look at him for. He can come in and play and give you some snaps, but he's not a starter. So when you think about that and you look at this list and you look at this team, you could arguably say, and we're going to get the corner, but you can arguably say that edge rusher is the weakest point on this team.
Would you say that edge rusher is the weakest point because there is no true number one pass rusher?
Absolutely.
And I think that the idea that deploying pass rushers by volume, like they did in 2017 with defensive linemen, is not quite as applicable in a Vic Fangio defense.
It's not, and I think they're expecting that Jalen Carter to be Jalen Carter, but I think
Carter is going to be expected to do a lot more this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's going to be tough to ask Jalen Carter to be Aaron Donald.
That's hard to do, but but you need Davis to also come into his own, which they're going to let him. And
you hope so.
And Ajomo is going to do what he does.
You hope so.
But I think that this hype on Ty Robinson, a little too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's a 4th round pick. Like, let's not say he's doing that great. And they're very excited with Gabe Hall, the undrafted free agent out of Baylor last year. They're very excited with Byron Young. Vic Fangio mentions this guy by name, calling him BY in multiple interviews. That this kid's in it. Former 3rd round pick of the Raiders out of Alabama. So, I think that when the Eagles are concerned with their pass rush, they will play it safe with interior defensive linemen. And that's why I have them keeping 6. 5 D linemen that I have, the 11 total D linemen that I have, is more about the fact that they don't have this primary rusher. Like, do I think they need Byron Young on the roster? Not necessarily if they're confident in Ty Robinson, but they don't have a guy. Nolan Smith, man, as much as I want to hype him up and say that he is that guy, dude, this kid's coming off a torn tricep. Correct. This isn't, it's not like he's 100% right now, because he's not. To ask Hunt to take over being a primary edge rusher, I would agree with you, and I would say he has the highest upside in the team. But when you're the Philadelphia Eagles trying to repeat as Super Bowl champions, Jalen Hunt is your highest ceiling player on the edge. For the future, that's good. But for right here, right now, they need a guy, man. I mean, they need a guy. And Ebiketti's a name that I've heard. I don't think he necessarily pushes the needle. I think he helps Howie Roseman sleep at night. But, I mean, it's very interesting. It's very interesting how things are playing out on the edge.
Yeah, when you look at the edge and you look at the pass from a pass run standpoint, you need a guy who say, go give me 10 sacks. And I don't know if you – and Carter has the ability to. But
I think Hunt's the guy, man. I mean, I think you said it since day one.
Yeah, since day one, I've been a Jalen.
I mean, that's the kid that has the highest upside on this team to produce, especially in this defense. He's the one that fits the defense to a T.
Yeah, the dark horse in the whole group out of your 11, and I agree with your 5 here. And that wouldn't surprise me if they go. No, you went pretty heavy with 6, so that makes a lot of sense. But I think they're banking on Jomo to really show up. And
he has, yeah.
He has. No, he has.
He's warranted compliments from Dickerson, Johnson. You know what I mean? Like they've said this kid's coming on, but again, this is training camp. I mean, I'm not telling you he's going to be Milton Williams, but what I tell you he has to be is Milton Williams.
Yeah, no, he does, and then some. I'm not sure how true this is. 2X.
Tell 2 times. Cam Williams is on the team, so
Cam Williams is my little brother, so I somewhat knew already know if he made it or not. Just getting other.
Sounds
opinions.
like he's your older brother, but let's go Cam Williams, the stud.
Yeah, no. Appreciate you chiming in, bro. Yeah, no, I think Cam Williams makes the team. I think we already kind of went over that as well.
I think the big thing here would be, looking at what we're looking at. I'll be honest with you, dude, you don't have to waste no time talking about linebacker. There's no other way it can be shaping out. Nakobe Dean's going to start the season on PUP, which means he has to miss at least the first 4 games of the year. Zach Bond's a lock. Jihad Campbell's going to start next to him. Jeremiah Trotter, primary backup. Smile Mondon out of Georgia is the next man up.
You got Campbell starting over Trotter.
That's a lock. It was in the warm-ups week 3 of the preseason. Campbell dressed in T-shirt and shells with Bond.
And Trotter didn't. Trotter played.
I'm going to put it like this. They're not going to sit a first-round pick if he's healthy to go. When you draft a player in the first round, they're here to play.
Do you feel that's a little lean going 4?
At linebacker?
Yeah.
No, this is the deepest the linebacker room has been since 2017.
This is true. Oh yeah, and you got Dean on the pub list. I'm sorry, I forgot about Dean.
They're about as deep as it gets at linebacker.
You're right. From the talent wise, Zach Bond.
Yeah, talent wise, they're out of this world when it comes to linebacker. I mean, if Bond and Campbell become what they could be, and we're talking about, I'll put it like this: Bond and Campbell's ceiling is Fred Warner, Navarro Bowman. Take it how you want, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's a shame. It's good. Right, from a competition standpoint, but you do root for the Nakobe Deans, right? Because you've seen him try to kind of come on.
Still, when Nakobe comes back, there is still the chance of in the future they want to run a Dean Trotter with, or a Dean / Trotter with Bond on Campbell walk down. That's a big chance too. You know what I mean? And I think that's the idea of Campbell as the true Sam. You know, they have that thing that Bond played as. So I don't know. It's going to get fun.
Yeah, and for me at least, I don't think Campbell, from what I've seen, I got you real quick, Mike Wells. I'll put it up here in a second. I don't think Campbell. I didn't see him being a pass rusher, and I think Vic kind of said that as well. He doesn't look like he has that natural bend. He's high.
He doesn't need to. So creeper pressures, that's more what I'm talking about here. Like I said, those Sam blitzes, those creeper pressures, that's where Jihad Campbell is special. Yeah, no, he's good on the blitzing. You kind of remind, who was like that too? Who was the guy from UCLA, linebacker, who was a great blitzer for us? He had Kendricks. Yeah. Kendricks was like that too.
He was great on the run, great as a blitzer. I think he had like almost 8 or 9 sacks one year for us, and it was all blitzing from linebacker. From you said, no, I think Kendricks was a Will. He wasn't a Sam. I think it was more of a Will.
No, Kendricks was more of a Will.
Yeah,
But
he was more of a Will.
Campbell is, in my opinion, the modern definition of what we would see as the 3-4 Sam.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it just if to get Nakobe on the field, because I think he's a very intelligent player, and I think he reminds me.
We have a long time until Nakobe's on the field.
Yeah, he reminds me of London Fletcher a little bit, just that in his
100%,
stature,
100%.
his stature.
But
in terms,
understand that the only guy that really fills Nakobe's role on the roster initially is Jeremiah Trotter. And so understand that comfortably Bond and Campbell are better playing off of Nakobe than they are themselves. So I think that's the positive outlook on linebackers. You do have Nakobe at some point this year. He will be back.
All right, let's go with an easy one, and we'll leave the juicy one till the end with cornerback. I think this one's set in stone that you already have here. Reed, Sidney, Mukuba, and McCullum. Your stars are going to be Reed and Mukuba more than likely. I don't think we have to
potentially Brown week 1. Makuba's dealing with a hamstring pull, so
yeah. Not a
even if Brown starts. I mean, it's ideally Mukuba should be the safety 2.
Correct
in the season. If it starts off with Brown, it will end up Blankenship Mukuba. The one note I want to make on Mukuba real quick is just like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he does have safety nickel versatility, which is the biggest position opposite Reed Blankenship.
He's a fourth corner on dime, right? I think I read.
Yes, he is. Yes, yeah. So he moves down and Cooper kicks out. So it's that's ideally what they want out of personnel.
Yep. And then let's go to what the conversation about everything is happening. Wow, I don't have it up here. How the fuck did not have it up here?
All right, so it's going to be Jake Elliott, Braid Mann, Charlie Hewlett, 3 specialists. They're going to be the best.
Oh, that is a pretty
punter.
That is a pretty.
We actually have an outside corner. Oh my God, we drafted an outside corner. What?
We have one. we got one. But here's the $100 million question, and we'll bring up the roster. Let's bring up the roster for you, and let's talk about it. And this is my question to everybody watching. We have our 53. My question is Adoree Jackson on this team?
Yes.
Week 1.
Yes.
Because last I heard, little birdies were talking that Mac McWilliams was running with the ones. Bennett wasn't nothing, and we know what Adoree is, or at least I would think Vic knows what Adoree is. So do you go with the vested vet, or do you run with the youngins and the rookies and Bennett as your QB, as your cornerback too?
They could get cute with Adoree if they wanted to contractually, but I would think that the 6 that I have here makes it, because that I think that group of 6 is this. I'm going to say that group of 10 because that's the way the team would view it. I think that room of 10 DBs is versatile, and I think that it is enough to get them through the first couple weeks. In my opinion, I think Adoree Jackson is the starting outside corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell week 1 against the Cowboys.
Patty Nickerson didn't do it for you on the last preseason.
Perry is a Vic Fangio holdover. As he's just a good PS guy, practice squad guy. I do like Perry Nixon though. He's a cool dude.
What's the leash on Jackson starting? You think,
dude? I think that they are gonna. I think that ideally that's a less than polite way to put it, but I think that ideally they would like to see Bennett across from Quinyon. But if you want me to be brutally honest with you, I think it goes like this. I think it's Adoree Jackson. I think it's Ja'Cory Bennett. And then I think Keely Ringo is still there because he is a core special teamer. And I think that if all else fails, they know they have him there and he's under roster control. Like I said, I think me and you can agree on this. They're done at corner, man. Like, there's not going to be a
How would agree don't got no more moves in him?
No, I'm not saying that at all, but Howie Roseman is done at corner. I think he makes a move at edge. I mean, if I had to stamp a move where, they have one last move in them, it's an edge rusher. I do not think it has anything to do with the DB room. That would cross out the Justin Simmons signing. That would cross out the trade for another corner. In my opinion, I think that their next point of concern would go to the edge.
Right.
And my name's Arnold Ebiketie from the Falcons. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It is what it is. My 53 could look completely different. Yeah. But I think they're going to go into week one with a concern at outside corner. Now, their idea is that they'll figure it out and that one of those three will emerge. I
hope so. I think
Vic Fangio, because I'm sure he's not happy about it.
Yeah, I think that looking at this, offense is pretty set. Obviously, we have the injuries there, and then a little bit of injuries on the defensive side of the ball too, as well. That is somewhat concerning. But I think that you do have big question marks at corner, at edge, and I know Jordan Davis is in shape. And leanest he's probably been in a long time. But if Jordan Davis doesn't show up, you got some real depth questions interior. Because
that's why Byron Young's there. That's why I held over Byron Young, because I've been hearing those secondary 0-1 snaps.
But I'm just saying, like, you got to split Davis's time. I don't, you could put Carter there, but, your ends are going to be really soft and that 3-4 base with Ojomo and whoever else they put in there. Ty Robinson is your ideal. I think Carter is like Donald and the way they just move him around and try to get him the best matchup possible to get him freed up. But once you start doing that, just like you saw with Donald, it becomes easier to game plan against. And you have to do something defensively wise to counteract that. And again, who steps up on that front seven to be able to do that? Because you don't want to get to a point where you have to blitz Jahad Campbell every goddamn play.
They won't blitz, so that's all that matters. They won't do that. So it's.
Well, if they ain't getting home, I think Fangio's smart enough to switch it up. So. We'll see. I don't know about that. I don't think Ojomo is what Davis is.
No, Jordan, you have three positions on the defensive line. You have Carter, who is in a role of his own. You have Davis, whose role would be Ty Robinson, Byron Young. And then you have Ojomo, who is followed up by Gabe Hall. Ideally, Ojomo would not have a backup on game day because he is technically just backing up Jalen Carter.
Correct. Yeah, agreed. Oh, man, this is our longest podcast, I think, to date.
I think you were more willing to get into the weeds more than ever.
No. It was not me. That was you. You done got up off your chair twice.
Hey.
That was not me. That was not me. But no, you know what? I appreciate the love because we had a lot of comments and a lot of things to talk about. So shout out to the folks who have
the amount of times we were thought that we leaked the actual roster is impressive. I appreciate the people that would even assume we would have that ability. But yeah,
these are all facts, man. This 53 is for real. Come on, man.
What are you talking about, bro? This is straight from Howie, dude.
Yeah, this is straight from the source. You know what I mean?
Google share. That's how they do it. Yeah. It's very easy.
I appreciate everybody joining. If you guys are not part of the money team, make sure you hit that like, hit that join, hit that follow button, all that good stuff. It does help, and we have some really great things happening here in Money Pot, not just this show. So stick around, and we will talk a lot of birds. But this one is fun because this one goes away from the betting side of it, and we're just talking football and we're just talking birds, and I know everybody can relate to that. So that is our 53-man roster. Before we go, I will bring it up one last time just to show it off to the folks in the back. Our quarterback room: Hurts, McKee, Howell; running backs: Barkley, Shipley, Dillon; fullback BVS; receivers: AJ, Smith, Dotson, Mechie, and surprise, surprise, Darius Cooper, or AKA Little AJ Brown. Then we have Goddard, not top 5, tight end, Kyle Katera and Granson, and then our going deep with the biggest rosters spots in the offensive line: Mulata, Dickerson, Cam, Tyler, Johnson. No surprise there in the 5. Pryor, Fred, Drew, Hilton, and shout out to 2X, Double X, Cam Williams, his little or bigger brother, however you want to call it. I do think that I do have a change here. I do think Brett Talk is on this roster, but we'll see. And then we have defensive side. No surprise here: Carter, Davis, Ojomo, Ty Robinson, Gabe, and BY. And then edge, again, no surprise: Oshalera, Uche, Hunt, Smith, and then Patrick Johnson, oldie but goldie. Linebacker: Bond, Jihad, Trotter, Mondo Jr., Smell out of Georgia. Then we have our corners: Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, possibly AJ. Keeley, I think, is here. Bennett's here. McWilliams is here. I think this one is the question mark. It'd be interesting to see what that happens. And then our safeties look really similar to what we know. And then special teams: Elliott, Mann, and Huglet. And then starting on the pub is Dean, injured reserve, eligible to return, Powell, Ryan.
I put APR there. Yeah, I put APR on the I didn't cut him. I didn't want to put him to waivers. I figured they'd, walk by him and say, "Hey man, I think your knee's sore," from that game. But that's just how I feel on that.
Yeah, I hear you. And then season IR, as we've already heard.
Yeah, Johnny Wilson, season-ending knee and ankle surgery. It was not pretty for old Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, so unfortunate for him because he was showing up in the preseason, even though we got all the rumors. Well, not all the rumors, but all the facts about him looking like a dud in practice, and then preseason it shows up, and hate to see it. So, again, thanks for everybody who joined. We love the comments. Hope to see you guys here for next week for Victory Mondays, where we start off the kickoff of the regular season: Eagles versus Cowboys. Moss Money Pot will be down at the tailgate cooking up a fool. We will be down there, but we will do a breakdown of that game come next week. If you are not a member of the Money Team, go ahead and hit that join, like button, all that good stuff. I'm Moss Money. I'm the player. That's my GM, Ernie B. This is Money Pot. We're out of here. Have a good night, everybody.